Week 1. Becoming miracle minded. My thoughts are images that I have made from A Course in Miracles. Fear. False evidence appearing real. Yep, that's right. When you focus on fear, it becomes your reality. We've all picked up fear in unique ways and replay these fearful stories over and over like mental movies in our minds. Each fearful belief we hold is a choice that we make. We choose to believe in the fear on the news, the fear in our home, and the fear in our mind. Fear is an epidemic. Throughout our lives, we absorb fear from the world around us, and we grow to believe these fears are our reality. Each of us, in some way, has chosen to hold on to fear in one or many corners of our life. Maybe you're fearful of not having enough money. Maybe you're afraid to be alone, or maybe you're just straight up fearful of everything. That was the case for me. For more than 2 decades, I lived in fear. I feared not being smart enough, pretty enough, or cool enough, as well as not having enough. I even feared being too great. Fear ran the show. Each waking moment of my life, I worked hard to anaesthetize my fear with food, romance, love, work, drugs, gossip, television, anything to avoid actually dealing with my fear. I replayed my fear-based thoughts like a skipping record. I lived in a constant state of anxiety and inner turmoil. Then, when I was 25, I hit a big bottom. Fear had sucked the lifeblood out of me. I was emotionally, physically, spiritually bankrupt and addicted to drugs. I had no other choice but to find a better way to live. I had to surrender to a faithful voice within that had been calling my name for years. On the evening of October the 2nd, 2005, I said a prayer for the willingness to see things differently. I prayed for love to enter into my fear-based mind, and it did. The next morning, an authoritative inner voice of love came forward and encouraged me to change my perspective on living. My inner voice said, "Get clean and you will live a life beyond your wildest dreams." My willingness to follow that message helped me to hear my intuition and reconnect with love. I've been listening ever since. That decision has been the key to living with a miracle mindset. I was willing on October the 2nd, 2005, and then again on October the 3rd, 4th and 5th, and so on. I'm still willing today. My deep desire to love instead of fear is what got me here, just as my inner guide had promised. Today I am living a life beyond my wildest dreams. I am the happiest person I know, and I owe this happiness to one simple choice: love. In every situation, no matter how horrifying it may be, we have a choice. The choice to see love instead of fear. I know this is a pretty far out statement coming from someone whose darkest hour included drug addiction and deep inner turmoil. Yes, plenty of people throughout the world have experienced far more horrifying fears than what I've known, but we share one thing in common. We all have the choice to perceive love instead. We can choose to focus on the fear in front of us, or open our hearts and surrender to a power greater than ourselves to restore our faith in love. Throughout the book, I refer to this greater power as an ever-present energy of love that circles around us, supports us, and guides us to know peace. Call it God, call it inner guide, call it spirit. For the sake of this book, let's call it love, although I'll use those words interchangeably. Don't confuse this with romantic love, rather consider it a presence of inner power that can attract more power to it. It's as if we have a magnetic force within us. When we clear the fear that blocks our power, then we become a magnet for miracles. The exercises throughout the book will guide you to release the fear that stands in the way of your connection to this loving power. A Course in Miracles says, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. Yep, that's right, you don't have to go hunting for this awesome love. The power of love is already within you. But unfortunately, events happen in our life that become like bricks in a wall. Each fear-based experience adds another brick to the wall that blocks you from your inner power. My my job is to give you the tools to dismantle these bricks, to release all that separates you from your loving, powerful truth. The barriers within yourself that have blocked you from your loving perspective are founded on the fear-based projections of what A Course in Miracles calls the ego. The ego is synonymous with fear and produces judgment, attack, jealousy, and all the negativity that separates you from having your loving truth. The ego is the opposite of the presence of love within us. We all have chosen to hook into our own ego perceptions in different ways based on our own experiences. One person's ego projects fear of financial insecurity, whereas another person's ego projects poor health. The story your ego has told you may seem unique to you, but know that you are not alone. Everyone in this world, except for a few enlightened masters, experiences his or her ego on a daily basis. One of the primary tools for releasing the ego is to become highly conscious of its behaviour. A major theme throughout this book will be to witness your ego in action by placing the magnifying glass on your ego's dark illusions. You weaken its strength. Understanding the ego. A Course in Miracles teaches that when we choose our ego's false perceptions, we become separated from God, or aka love. All it took was one tiny mad idea to make us choose the fear of the world over love. And in an instant we can pick up I picked up the tiny mad idea that there's never enough from my early childhood mealtime experiences. In some way or another, we all pick up the fear-based beliefs from our early childhood experiences. From that point forward, we've continued to detour into fear and choose the ego's illusory perspective over our loving truth. The moment that we choose fear over love, our minds split off into what the Course refers to as the wrong mind. Our right-minded side thrives on peace and oneness, but our wrong-minded side is fueled by the fears of the world. Over time, the repetition of our ego's fear leads us to believe the wrong mind is all there is. The ego cannot survive without fear. Therefore, it's committed to keeping us stuck in fear with its crafty tricks. Outlined next are some examples of how the ego holds us back, keeps us small, and blocks our inner state of love. Sin, guilt, and fear. When we side with the ego and believe that we've separated from love, we unconsciously feel as though we've sinned. This belief in sin creates the experience of guilt. We feel this unconscious guilt because we think we've killed our connection to love. Then comes the inevitable fear, the emotion we experience based on the thought that we need to be punished for turning our back on love. To keep us in this sin, guilt, fear struggle, the ego convinces us to deny the experience of fear to keep us stuck in the pattern. We deny our fear in all sorts of situations. For example, the drug addict is unwilling to admit his or her addiction. A woman makes excuses for her abusive spouse, or more subtly, someone simply hates his or her job but is too afraid to walk away. The ego has crafty tricks for keeping us stuck in fear-based experiences that clearly do not serve us. When we're unwilling to look at our fear head-on, we accept fear as our reality. To further deny our fear, we project it onto others in hopes that the guilt will magically disappear by placing it outside of ourselves. Placing blame on others is a sure sign we're unwilling to look at our own deep-rooted fears. This is a sneaky ego trick that merely reinforces our faith in attack, judgment, and negativity. I know all this must sound totally trippy. That is to be expected. Your ego has worked hard to deny your sin, guilt, and fear. Becoming aware of your sin, guilt, fear cycle is the first step towards changing it. Separation. From a spiritual perspective, we are all connected energetically. The Course says there are no private thoughts. This means that on some level we are all energetically connected through our shared intentions. The Course emphasises our interconnectedness, that we are all one. Black, white, male, female, poor, rich, and so on. Accepting our oneness helps us release the ego-based projections that we have placed on the world. Unfortunately, most of us have not been taught to believe in oneness. We believe in the ego's false perceptions. We believe we are separate from everyone else. We see our bodies as more special or less special than others. Each thought we have reinforces our separateness and specialness. thoughts like, I have more money than that guy, or I will never look good enough to get the romantic partner I desire, or I'm not good enough to be friends with you, and so on. The ego goes. Each fear-based thought deepens the illusion of separation. Judgment and attack. The ego is the great fault finder. Because our choice to perceive fear has made us feel so terrible, we project that terrible feeling onto others to protect ourselves from actually dealing with the discomfort. For instance, I spent years feeling as though I was incomplete without a romantic partner. Each time I'd see a happy couple, I'd attack their romance in my mind by judging their relationship. I'd think thoughts like, that will never last, or he can't possibly like her, can he? Rather than choose to recognise their love as a mirror to the love within me. I choose to deepen the separation with judgment and attack. This is a fierce ego trick that keeps the illusion of separation alive and kicking. Each week I will help you become more and more clear of how the ego uses its nasty tricks to keep you stuck in fear. Focusing on the ego will help you see it as a separate from your loving, miracle-minded truth. The more you witness the ego in action, the less power it has over you. The way out of ego. In addition to looking directly at your ego, you'll also be guided to surrender your ego's fear to a power greater than you. Your inner guide, or aka Ing, this inner guide is the voice of love, an internal teacher waiting for our call. The Course says love will immediately enter into any mind that truly wants it. When we turn our fear over to this inner voice of love, we're offered powerful, creative ways of perceiving our life. For instance, if you turn your financial fears over to the care of your inner guide, you will be led to find new and unique ways for earning rather than staying focused on your lack. Or if you surrender your cigarette addiction to the care of your inner guide, you'll intuitively be guided to books, people and resources that will help you recover from your addiction. Surrendering your fears to your Ing will always offer you a miraculous solution. Each exercise in this book guides you to create subtle shifts for miraculous change. The shifts occur when you choose to surrender your fear to your inner guidance system for healing. A Course in Miracles teaches that prayer is the medium of miracles. When you release your fears through prayer, meditation, affirmations, and the daily unique practices throughout this book, you'll be guided to transform those fears into love. This book strives to make surrendering your fear a moment-to-moment habit. Through your willingness to choose gratitude, forgiveness, and a new perspective, you will intuitively be led to see your entire life through a new lens. The more you call on love, the more love you will see. I know the concept of working with your inner power may be foreign to you. That's where this week's work comes in handy. Each daily practice this week will strengthen your mental and emotional love muscles so they become super strong. But as I've stressed before, it takes time and commitment. It's just like working out. For the first couple of days you feel a little bit out of whack, but as you get stronger and more fit, the whole process starts to feel natural and awesome. Remember, the key element to accessing the power of love is to believe in the power of love. One of my spiritual mentors, Wayne Dyer, some years back added a new twist to an old saying. He said, "I'll see it when I believe it." The goal of this book is to help you heighten your miracle-minded belief system so that miracles are your reality. Each daily exercise this week will introduce the recurring principles that will show up throughout your 42-day practice. Day 1. You'll begin the practice of witnessing. I'll guide you to witness your fears so that you can start to understand the choice that you've made to focus on them. On day 2, you'll be guided to surrender, to the willingness to change. This may sound hard, but trust that you're already halfway there. Just by picking up this book, you've made a major statement to yourself that you're willing to see love instead of fear. Day 3. You'll begin to choose a loving perspective and start to say no to fear. Day 4 focuses on gratitude, which will awaken the love presence within you and give you some extra juice for day 5, heavy lifting. The work on day 5 is dedicated to forgiveness. Don't freak out, I'm not expecting you to forgive anyone for an instant. This week I'm simply introducing the possibility of forgiveness to ignite your willingness to jumpstart the practice of the F word. On day 6, you'll be guided to awaken your miracle mindset of love. I'll lead you in exercises that will help you step outside of your comfort zone to see a world beyond what you have previously chosen to believe in. On day 7, I'll conclude the week's exercises with self-reflection and preparation. You'll spend the last day of each week reflecting the previous 6 days. Then in the evening, we'll prepare you for the week to come by reading the introduction to the next chapter. Got all that? Simple, right? Now that you're clear about the plan, I can share this week's promise with you. As you awaken your love mindset, you'll begin to know a new truth. 1. Being miracle-minded will enhance every area of your life. 2. You'll come to understand your fear and therefore be willing to release it. 3. Each exercise offers you a subtle shift in your perspective towards life. The more subtle shifts you add up, the more peace you will feel. 4. Judgment, attack and anger will subside. 5. You'll inherently know a new serenity and miracles will occur naturally. Pretty amazing stuff, huh? Clearly you have a lot to look forward to. Remember to focus on each exercise, be patient and breathe deeply along the way. Now let's get the ball rolling and bust through some fear.